streaming to YouTube.
Okay.
And once it starts the live stream, I will come back. Okay. So I'm just need to comment on it. How do I comment on it? Jesus. Welcome to the YouTube video. It's going to start in a second. So if you're, I don't know, maybe somebody can go to YouTube.
Yeah.
If you guys know my YouTube and copy paste the Zoom link there, because I don't know how to do it. If somebody can do that, it's lovely.
And copy paste this on.
Yeah, copy paste the invite link to the YouTube comments. So now I'm gonna make you the host so you can let people in.
Yes.
And we'll get started.
Great.
Okay. So, little introduction. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dante Starshine. I channel the Pleiadian Council. They're interdimensional beings that are supporting us through our evolutionary process, expanding into multidimensional consciousness and into different realms of experience. And they also help us with our personal lives and applying these metaphysical principles on every level. Really happy to be doing this. Thank you to those who are watching and have been following for a long time. And yeah, I've taken a break kind of due to a lot of personal things that have come up with mental health and physical wellness. Just been experiencing degrees of chronic pain from an injury I literally did to myself. I won't speak too much of it here, but coming through the other side and experiencing, you know, life is about ups and downs, and same with our, you know, spiritual journey. Like the challenges actually allow us to go to new heights. The more, whenever we feel like something is broken or breaking down, when it comes back together, returning to wholeness is always a bit more powerful than the previous experience of wholeness. And I can say that I'm on the mend. As well, tapping back into this, I want to share that, first of all, next week, I'm going to be doing the first private channeling event. And that is because we live in very confusing times where literally many of the things that people ask about cannot be shared on mainstream platforms like YouTube and Facebook. So it's going to be a paid event. Do sliding scale $11 to $33. It will not be put on YouTube or any broadcast network. You can purchase it afterwards, or you can just attend. So it's going to be next Friday. I don't know the date of that yet, but the following Friday. And the public live streams that are on donation continue Thursdays indefinitely. And the channeling course is going to launch again beginning of October. So stay tuned on YouTube for more information on that. So one way we're going to do this a little bit differently in this channeling call is I really want people to recognize that the Pleiadians are very telepathic beings, and they know a lot more than you think they might know. So if your question has a lot of backstory, can you shorten that backstory to 2 minutes, no more? And the rest of the details, if the details are needed, trust that they're going to ask you for those details. So imagine getting straight to the point of your question. And that's just for the sake of everyone, as these processes can be really accelerated and can go a lot deeper when we do trust that they are hearing the core of your ask without you needing to give all of that information, really. And that's about it. Bassiani or any regular people, do you have anything to add about this that I'm forgetting?
No.
Sorry, I was busy trying to post the link on YouTube.
Okay. Did you get it?
Somehow I cannot, when I press enter, it doesn't
That's
work.
weird.
But I will try again.
So, okay, another way that people on YouTube can get access to this is if you go to my community tab, there's a link there to enter Zoom. I think that's the best we can do. If anybody else can copy paste the link into the YouTube comments, it's really appreciated, but we're just gonna continue on unless there's anything I'm forgetting. Okay, so enjoy this interaction, everyone.
Yes, now the link is posted on YouTube.
Hello, and we say a good day to all of you at this moment of your time. As the Pleiadian Council, it's a pleasure and honor to establish contact with you in this way, and we thank you for showing up and receiving this transmission, as your presence and your interaction is opening the space for this mutually expansive interaction where both you and ourselves get to expand through the reflections offered to each other. And for this, we extend to you our gratitude. It has been a bit of time in your reality since our interactions with you through this channel. However, we hope and trust that you have been in contact with us in your own ways. Let us open this group interaction today by speaking a bit about the developments in your world. And so, with the idea of this pathogen spreading through your world is undergoing a serious degrees of transformation. And again, our message to each and every one of you is that regardless of what others are choosing as their reality, you can create your own individual experience of the reality you prefer during this idea of a pandemic. So, what this means to every individual is something very different. And the most important thing to recognize is that the vibration of fear, whether you fear a loss of health or a loss of freedom, is not serving you in any way. So when you experience this vibration of fear, the invitation is to dig deeper into it, is to ask yourself, which negative belief systems are generating your experience of fear? And to which past experiences can you see the origins of such negative belief systems? The same negative belief systems that generate your negative experience of this pandemic are belief systems that generate negative experiences for you in other areas of your life. So being able to understand that your response and your reaction has more to do with the ways you have been conditioned and less to do with what is happening outside of you will support you in using this situation in a positive way. Remember our guidance that everything that happens can be used in a positive way. This is not the same as what you say in your world, that everything happens for a reason, implying everything happens for a positive reason, because the reason things that happen is simply feedback, is simply an expression of the law that everything that you put out returns to you. What you put out comes back. So the reason you experience something is to integrate an understanding of that law. What you put out comes back. And also, everything that you experience, even things that you don't prefer, can be used in a positive way. And so if you are having a negative experience, you have to look to the single, or hopefully many, even small positive things that you are gaining from this experience. And understand that sometimes negative experiences come for you in order to learn lessons that will help you better serve others. So if a negative experience has nothing to do for you, it very well might have positive implications and positive impacts on others once you learn the lessons from that seeming negative experience. So we thank you for allowing us to share this message with you. And now we ask, how can we support you as individuals and you as your world in these grand, accelerated, and evolutionary times?
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
I've heard from another channel and on television about a polar shift and possibly a mini ice age. So
yeah.
Is that something we need to be prepared for in a practical way?
The idea of a polar shift is happening. The idea of a ice age is not something that you will experience in this lifetime. It is actually the opposite. You are going into a tropical phase. And so what will happen over the next 30 to 40 of your years is that land masses will shrink, ice will melt, the environment will change, climates will change. Understand that this is a natural process that was happening before you got involved, though the degrees of pollution have accelerated the process. And ultimately, there is nothing to fear, as the idea of death and extinction is a part of the grander cosmic cycles and planetary cycles of nature. Yet, you will have to adapt. And so when you see the change in a neutral way and simply accept that depending on your location in the world, you will have to adapt by moving or by changing lifestyle in some way, you will be able to move through this time relatively easily and enjoy the experience of transformation it offers.
Okay, thank you. So if the opportunity didn't present itself to sort of move off grid, how would I just adapt?
What do you mean specifically when you say move off grid?
Ideally, I'd like to live with a lot of land around me so I could be self-sufficient, so panels, water, but my present situation doesn't allow for that. But that would be the ideal goal for me.
Yes. Well, understand that self-sufficiency is in a way a constructed concept in your world, and it is not really privy to your true nature, which is, in a sense, familial, or some of you may term it tribal. And so the best way to get off grid and become sustainable is to become sustainable as a community, meaning everyone brings their own skills, resources, offerings, and gifts into a co-creative container so that all of the various needs that would be required to be sufficient and sustainable are met by unique individuals according to their own unique capacities.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So in the meantime, if you find yourself still on grid in urban environments, remember that your own belief systems as to the effects of things like EMFs and emotional energies of others has much to do with it. And if you develop belief systems that say that your energy field is impenetrable and that your own connection to source is more powerful than the electromagnetic fields of others around you, you will find greater clarity and strength. Also, the connection to other people at similar vibrations, whether they are there with you in person or around the world, allows you to create a sense of togetherness, because so much of the pain and problems in your world come from a core feeling of and belief in separation. When, again, remember that one of the primary metaphysical principles is all is one and the one is an all. And so returning to wholeness is key to returning to health and wellness. When you see yourself as a part of the bigger system, regardless of where you are and at what paradigm you are operating, you will be able to embody source consciousness and wellness.
Hello, dear friends.
Yes, hello to you as well.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to ask a question.
You're welcome.
Recently, I find out that I'm connected to you, and I'm deeply grateful for your assistance in my life.
Yes.
I would like to explore this connection in order to be more of my true self. And
yes.
Can you share with me more information about this connection and if I have a counterpart? Thank you, and my love to you.
All right. You do have a Pleiadian counterpart. You have also counterparts that you may consider hybrid in nature, and counterparts from the civilization of Vega. So all of these are aspects of your oversoul that you can tap into both at will and without knowing. To tap into these connections at will, we would suggest that you practice what you may consider guided meditation and inner journeying work, as well as dream work, setting the intention before your nightly slumber to have contact experiences. And as you wake in the morning, perhaps writing and journaling about the things that you experience. As you develop the opportunity, or rather the ability to recall dreams, it will become more likely that you can recall specific dreams about interactions with us. Again, the core message is to keep your frequency high by following your highest passion to the best of your ability without any insistence on a particular outcome. So by keeping your frequency high, you are vibrating at a similar level to our frequency, and then contact becomes much easier. Do you understand what we have shared?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, any further questions?
That's all for now. Thank you again.
All right, our thanks and love to you. And do allow these connections in. And you can also meditate on symbols of our world. Perhaps you would like to print out pictures of our constellation that you see from your world and place them in the rooms around you. Know that as soon as your focus shifts to our existence, there is an energy exchange that takes place. So you can use that image of our constellation, or you can use other symbolism that resonates and works for you personally to tap into our energy. Even the symbol the channel uses on his website is attuned to our frequency. And you as well can generate new images and permission slips, or even attune crystals to our frequency and use them as permission slips to let our energy in. we use the term permission slip as it is something that gives your consciousness access to an energy according to your own beliefs. Because the truth is, everything is already connected, and you can be in contact with us very easily. Though permission slips help as limiting beliefs and conditioning systems bring you to feel yourself as limited beings, when really you are unlimited consciousness, and you can tap into any field that exists across space and time.
Okay, I will definitely do this. Thank you again.
Yes, so thanks to you as well.
Carol?
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you, Pleiadian
Hello.
Council.
Yes, our thanks to you.
Thank you for this opportunity. I wanted to ask, what is my role and to be in this community project I'm working on, and how can I best prepare to be of greatest service to this project and its goals?
And what is the specific intention and structure of this project?
This is a community build project on the island of Hawaii with the native Hawaiian people to help give them opportunities to return to the land and steward the land again.
Yes. So this is an expression of your passion, yes?
Yes, yes, very much so.
So allow that to be your core understanding here, that as long as this is lighting your heart up with passion and joy, there is a grand awakening and acceleration of energy that is happening through it. And for you, this may be an experience of opening up to greater love, compassion, forgiveness, and healing. You may also find yourself attuning to the specific consciousness of the indigenous people, restoring something that has been lost in modern consciousness. So recognize that the idea of reparations and restoring equality and bringing land justice to support those who have been oppressed in your world is just as much for them as it is for everyone, as the ways of the earth that have been suppressed and forgotten in colonization are missing aspects of the understandings and beliefs and cultures of your world. So in creating this restoration, humanity is also integrating its lost wisdom. And this lost wisdom is one of the key ingredients that the acceleration of climate catastrophe is occurring. Again, as we have said in the beginning, this process would have happened without humans, though, again, understand that you still have the power to slow it down and to prevent certain areas from experiencing that destruction. And it starts with restoring the idea of this indigenous wisdom. Now, there are also many other lessons and experiences and integrations that you will have through this process. So one thing that we wish to remind you of is to be conscious of your own capacity and of the idea of reciprocity, so that your engagement on physical and emotional levels does not exceed what you are capable of doing, does not exceed what your limits are, so that you can feel energized and restored, and also receive through your engagement in the project. That and even much more is to come that we cannot necessarily spoil for you.
Understood. Thank you so much. That was very, very helpful.
Yes, thanks to you as well.
Thank you.
Are there further questions? Is the connection working?
Yes, the connection is working.
All right.
Yes, I was just looking if there were some questions in the YouTube chat, and they're not neither. But it seems like they are coming. Somebody's asking.
All right.
Ask something. I would love to ask you what a typical day looks like where you are.
A typical day for us?
Yes.
All right. Well, understand first of all that we don't sleep in the same way that you do, and that we are able to travel dimensionally, and even some of us bilocate. So it is very hard to put in your language what our experiences are really like. Generally, we enjoy moments of connection and celebration with others of our world. We engage in various telepathic, exploratory, or diplomatic interactions with other civilizations. We bond with the natural life of our world or whatever planet we are on. We have certain practices of bonding with each other, bonding with nature, that allow us to experience pleasurable exchanges of love that allow us to deepen into source energy. We use sound and art to expand those experiences. So mostly our lives are entirely positive without challenge or struggle. We simply explore, celebrate, connect, and experience together the joy of living and existence.
Beautiful. And how do you celebrate when you do? Is it in the way you have expressed, like bonding and connecting?
Yes. Yes, bonding, connecting, art, music. It is not so different from your world at its core, though the sounds and energies would be very different. We have a very different taste, you could say.
Yes. Are you a musician? Do you sing or play an instrument?
Yes. Most of us use voice as an instrument in some way. Again, we don't have words, but we do use sound to accentuate and communicate vibration and frequency. And there are many different instruments in our world, that some of which resemble instruments that you would consider in your world: singing bowls, hang drums, tuning forks. Even we have things like guitars, but they function very differently when we start to speak of stringed instruments. They are also technological, they are self-amplifying, and they are attuned to the consciousness of the one playing it, meaning that there is a artificial intelligence that operates through some of our instruments, that thought and intention can influence the sound without any physical experience being necessary to generate such sound.
Wow. Sounds amazing.
Yes, it is very fun for us.
Wow.
What is the nature that is surrounding you? What it is like?
The nature? Oh, there are various sorts of trees, plants, and shrubs, water. There are also some ideas of deserts and canyons in our world. We also inhabit ships much of the time, though we do bring some plants with us as reminders of home.
And couldn't I ask you to use some sound for us? Just shortly.
Through the channel?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the channel does that at various times, and it can accentuate our frequency, though it will not in any way replicate the sound that we produce in our worlds, for the channel is not capable of replicating such sounds in any way.
I see. Would it be like this for any human beings?
Yes, you are not physiologically the same as ourselves. Though again, you can channel our frequency and translate it into sound, and it will broadcast our frequency. It is simply not similar to the sounds that we make.
Mm-hmm.
There is a resonance, but it is not the same.
Right. Mm.
Have your ships visited our planet?
Yes, we continue to do that.
Okay, I can see Willie and Miguel have a question.
All right.
Can you hear me?
You may need to speak a little bit louder.
Okay, is the audio clear?
Yes.
Okay, welcome. Hello.
Hello.
It's been a while. So,
Yes.
as usual, for me at least, there are multiple questions that I have.
All right.
Okay, so the first question. What are all of the subtle bodies or energy fields around my physical body? What are they called?
All right. So we will use terms for them, but other people could use different words for them according to their own understanding. So starting first with the idea of the physical body itself has an etheric field surrounding it that is connecting your body to the environment around it, and subtle flows of energy through your meridians and nadis are also connected to this layer. Now, the next layer you could consider the emotional body. And this is the layer through which emotions and feelings express as an energy field around you. You could consider it having two layers, one being a feeling layer, one being an emotional layer. Understand again that the idea of feelings and sensations and emotions are a bit different. Emotions being energy in motion as those feelings take on a tangible form as an emotion that you can identify, such as sadness, anger, love, joy, peace, frustration, and so on. This energy is very liquid and movable. The idea of the next field you can consider a mental body. And this layer is constructed of thought and belief. Rather, it is constructed more through thought. There are further layers generated through belief. So this field is like a net. It is like a webbing. And this is the layer through which the thoughts you repeat become magnetic energy around your body that attract and repel like vibrations. This is the level at which anything you focus on long enough becomes attracted into you. As this layer has a netting, what you would consider negative thoughts that are unquestioned or simply unable to be defeated, you could say, create holes or rips that then allow negative energy into your emotional and feeling layers of the field to eventually manifest as disease. And so this is why you could consider your thoughts very important. The next level being something you would consider an astral field. This is the field that relational energies are exchanged. So the layers we have talked about so far are very personal, and the layers that we come to express now are either interpersonal or collective in some nature. So this is the level through which your field is affected by the fields of others, and you are simply a part of your environment, absorbing and generating an energy that goes out into the world. And this is why if the mental body is not truly repaired, the thought body is not strong, you can let in negative energy from other people. So this level is strengthened through the heart and through your ability to tap into unconditional love. Following this astral layer, there are many spiritual layers, and you could see that your energy field is really as big as 30 feet around your body and can be divided into more layers than we could describe, or you would have the capability of really understanding at this point in your time. You do not actually need technical understanding of all the details, because often the simple understanding of following your passion to the best you can without any insistence on an outcome will be enough for you to fill in the gaps. Though, again, speaking of the spiritual levels of your field, these are the levels that are generated by your beliefs, by what you unconsciously assume to be true about reality through your process of learning and incarnation. This is also levels that are interdimensional between incarnations. And so something that you have believed in a counterpart lifetime experience is then translated into this field. This field goes from about, again, 3 to 30 feet away from your body. So it is here in these layers of the field that you really tap into interdimensional experiences and can allow different guides or interdimensional energies into your field. Again, understand that your ability to have those experiences requires a belief that such experiences are real. The first level of these spiritual energy fields has the most to do with your beliefs. And when you develop beliefs that assume that you are an interdimensional being just as capable as anyone else of having these kinds of experiences, your field will open up to allow those energies in.
Wow, very thorough. I look
Yes.
forward to drawing this out so I can visually see it.
Well, there's already maps like that orchestrated in your world, so you can look at those as well. Look for a book called The Subtle Body.
Okay, I'll read the book and connect the dots from there.
All right.
So next few questions are: how do you obtain the circle of life? I believe it is connected to the flower of life, but I'm not sure.
The what of life?
Circle of life.
The circle of life. We don't understand what you mean with this.
The circle of life could be obtained in the halls of Amenti.
In the what?
Halls of Amenti.
Again, this is a concept that doesn't directly translate to something that we can express to you. We would instead point to remind you, again, all is one. And the elixir of immortality, you could say, is experienced when you remember your oneness with the divine. And in order to do that, you must address every level of your experience.
Oh, wow. So that's why it's necessary to remember your past lives.
It is not necessary to remember your past lives, but it comes naturally as you have spiritual awakening experiences. But it is by no means necessary. You can disregard them entirely.
Okay. All right. So next
If
question.
you wish, according to your own excitement.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't let it. I would see the experience, but I would still choose to be me without letting it define me.
Yes.
So that's how I would approach it if I were to remember past lives.
All right.
So the next question is, why is sacred geometry sacred, and what is the purpose could I use them for?
Well, everything is sacred. Sacred geometry, as you term it in your world, is potent because it describes the makeup of your energetic field. The energetic field that you were inquiring about does have levels at which the idea of platonic solids describe or portray the structure of the field. As well, these sacred geometric shapes are the building block of life. They are the building block of cells and atoms and the many things that you do not see. And as that generates and structures fields, even larger mechanisms and advanced technologies use these structures as the basis of their construction. So understanding these symbols and meditating upon them, familiarizing yourself with them, allows you to tap into a greater understanding of the structures of life.
Okay.
So if you have further questions, we can continue and address them at a later point in the transmission, and we open up to other questioners now.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna read a question from YouTube.
All right.
From Amara Temis. Yesterday, I took part in a Yael channeling. The channel being pointed me towards being an Arcturian incarnate. I personally feel a Pleiadian connection. Could you help me gain clearance?
You have both of these connections, as so many of you do. So understand that you are not just one thing. Most of you have some tens of thousands of parallel incarnations, of potential counterparts. And at one time, most of you cannot handle working consciously with more than 3 or 4 counterparts. So understand that just because you are not capable of juggling that many soul relationships, you could say, does not mean that they do not exist. And this being was simply pointing you to understand that you have more counterparts than you were assuming you have. So this does not make your Pleiadian counterparts any less real. It is simply pointing you to understand that you also have Arcturian counterparts that may fill in some gaps in understanding for you at this time. We, as your Pleiadian connection, do help to serve purposes of expanding your ability to have greater love, connection, telepathy, and understand the frequency of a perhaps celebration of life. Arcturian energies are more fine-tuned to acute mental understanding, study, psychic surgery, more technical aspects of awakening. You might consider these counterparts to be a bit more detached in their function. And while it may seem at first alien to parts of yourself, there are also other ways that these Arcturian connections are very similar to you, and integrating them might help you very much in expanding your own awakening process. And again, we would say, do not even limit yourself to the idea of simply having Pleiadian and Arcturian counterparts. Recognize that you also have many other counterparts as well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thanks to you.
Anyone in the Zoom chat have a question? Okay, then I would love to ask something. Following this question, the previous question, I was told that my main connection is with Vega, people from Vega, or beings from Vega star.
Yes.
Could you please tell me something about them?
The Vega system is one of the most ancient in this particular galaxy. Beings began to incarnate into this galaxy in Lyra. And Lyra expanded its scope of incarnation to many other worlds. Lyra, in fact, was the start of what you would consider colonization, of taking other planets or other civilizations as a part of one's own civilization. Vega, being the second major incarnational point, became the natural polar opposite to Lyra. Understand that things in this physical dimension play out through duality and polarity. So Vega was the natural counterpart to Lyra. And you can consider this dance to be that of masculine energy and feminine energy. Lyra representing the masculine force, and Vega representing the feminine force. So the idea of veganism actually connects with Vega, as the motto and intention of Vega was to, in a sense, do no harm. Though the karmic lessons of Vega was to understand that in being so non-confrontational and so disconnected from the potential of having impact on others in a negative way, the Vegan civilization became their own greatest enemy. They made themselves vulnerable to attack and exploitation from Lyra. And it was only through discovering great inner strength of compassion, forgiveness, and also self-protection that Vega was able to survive and thrive as a civilization. Your connection to Vega has also to do with the idea of sound frequency, as the idea of sound healing first originated in this galaxy through Vega. So understand that the Vegan civilization had to develop many tools and strategies to create balance and harmonious energy fields as a means of both spiritual exploration and as protection. So they use sound healing very much, and this is one gift of yours that connects you into their world. As well, the karmic shadow of self-sacrifice is something that bleeds through from your Vegan incarnations into your personal incarnations. And so your bond to these soul counterparts will teach you how to create boundaries and how to stand solidly for yourself and not allow for polarized energies to suppress or oppress you in any way.
Amazing, thank you.
Yes, our thanks to you as well.
Okay, there are some more questions in the YouTube chat.
Yes.
Can you share from Andre C? Can you share some exercises to awaken our psychic abilities and the full potential of our brain? Thank you.
All right. First of all, let's clarify what it means to be psychic. It means that you have a clear telepathic understanding of the world around you. So here, telepathy is really telempathy. It is your ability to feel the fields of energy that surround you all the time. So the best way to play out your psychic gifts is really with other people, is your ability to attune to their emotions and inquire as to what the source of them is. If you allow yourself to bring in another person's energy and even imagine yourself to be in their shoes, you can notice how much of their experience you can understand, and you can practice with a willing and open friend or stranger to get to see and feel how much about them you can pick up on without knowing anything about them at all. So the other practices for developing intuition is meditation, as you must have the ability to suspend your reactivity and your repressive natures. And this means when something arises, that instead of running from it or suppressing it, you simply bring all of your presence into it. Meditation allows you to focus your mind, or rather observe your mind so that your mind does not control you. And once you are firm in your stance of observation, you can then focus your mind, yes, and make sure that the reactive or repressive natures of the mind don't get you stifled or lead you into causing negative effects with your mind's workings. Observation is key to being a good psychic. Observation is paramount, because what you are doing when you are working with psychic gifts is simply observing and filling in the details. How do the details get filled in? Well, it is through imagination. So once you master the ability to observe, you then can work with the idea of imagination. And you must reorient your beliefs around the subject of imagination, as you have come into a world that focuses on mechanisms, that focuses on the idea of science over the idea of intuition, belief, and direct experience. So you have to shift your understanding outside of that scientific and mechanistic view of reality into an intuitive view of reality. So you've learned that your imagination makes things up or conjures things or creates, when really your imagination perceives. Understand that everything that could ever be imagined or created already exists. The universe has created everything that will ever exist already. That does not mean there's only one future that is going to happen. Every potential future already exists. All of the different choice points that the millions and billions and trillions of conscious sentient beings can make create separate realities. And all of those separate potential realities exist. So understanding this allows you to get out of the idea of using intuition or psychic gifts to predict the future, and instead tap into what is potential. Now, using your imagination simply means that you allow perhaps colors, ideas, images, words, or even complex translations of information to be received through your imagination. It could often seem like you are making something up, but again, understand that is only a semblance because of what you have come to understand your imagination is. Use your imagination to feel into many different layers of reality around you. Now, as well, you must understand that your own belief systems do distort all of your psychic filters. So the last thing, and still a very important thing about intuition, and we would say one of the most important things to making sure your intuition and psychic functions work well, is to understand the roles that your beliefs play. That means that you can distort your interpretation of a given situation based on your beliefs about that situation or aspects of that situation. So this last thing we will say for now about becoming psychic and intuitive is to make your beliefs conscious and to recognize how beliefs work. Beliefs are filters of perception. They are much like filters that come before your third eye and even your physical eyes as you perceive reality. They shape the way you see things. So you must come to understand that your beliefs are optional and that you can change them, but only by making them conscious and becoming neutral to the negative and positive impacts that your beliefs have.
Thank you. And what about, most people, when they pass 40 years old or more, they lose a bit of their sight. And I've been wondering lately if it's possible for us, according to regain fully our sight, if we believe we can, or with the right tools.
You won't necessarily fully recover your sight, but you can recover part of your sight or work with your eyes so that you don't lose your sight. So let us describe many ways of doing this. One would be doing yogic eye exercises. These involve moving your eyes side to side, up and down, diagonally, in circles, slowly. And understanding that because of some functions, your eyes will move frame by frame in short spurts. But if you can learn how to move your eyes instead of frame by frame in short spurts, but slowly and deliberately, continuously, that will improve your eye function and your visual acuity. So you can look up these specific yoga eye exercises. There are many different teachers of them. The next thing we would recommend is sun gazing. Yes, taking in seconds of sunlight and eventually minutes of sunlight at sunrise or sunset will gradually over time improve your eyesight and do many other things for your eyes as well. You can look this up and independently study it. We do suggest sun gazing, and we do also suggest being very cautious and following specific instructions so as to not harm yourself. Then we would suggest using medicines for the eyes, one such being the idea of the honey of a particular stingless bee that exists in the region of Central America. Another being the idea of a plant from your South America known as sananga or chiric sanango. These plants do create a gentle burning in the eyes that remove toxins and increase your eyes' levels of moisture. It can fight eye disease and many other things. And finally, we would say your eyes connect with your liver. So if your liver is unwell or unhealthy, that does suggest a liver detox would probably improve your eyesight. You could notice this connection as the eyes are one of the first areas to change color in the experience of the disease you know as jaundice in your world.
Which disease you say?
Jaundice, liver malfunction.
Uh-huh. Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yes.
There was a question about diet. Can you share the best diet for humans?
The best diet is, first of all, according to your own belief systems about how your body functions. So you cannot, in a sense, hop on a trend diet or follow our specific instructions and expect it to work if you don't believe that it works. You may notice your own body's responses, and getting in touch with your belief systems and getting in touch with your own natural body's functions is something personal that you will do through understanding, first of all, how to not eat emotionally, how to not use food as a way to suppress or control emotions in any way. And as well, you simply notice the physical response of every food. What energy does it bring in your body? How does it affect your energy level? How does it affect your mood? As this will attune you to the right diet for your body at a specific time. With that said, the general most healthy diet for all of you includes, we would say, 60 to 70% fresh, raw food, and mostly whole fruits, vegetables, and sources of protein, such as legumes, mushrooms, and some starches, though minimally. The idea being that, well, let us rephrase that. It is not necessary that the food be raw, but the more that you eat food that is whole and unaltered, and mostly food that could be eaten raw, then the better you are doing, generally speaking. The idea being that you don't really need animal products, ultimately. That being said, the channel is not vegan. Most of you do not need to become vegan overnight. What we are speaking to is a gradual shift in your diet over time, understanding that your belief systems play a role, and that transition in terms of your body's needs does take place. Understanding that the denser your frequency, you will need foods that vibrate at a similar density to maintain that frequency. The higher your frequency, the more you will need foods that vibrate at that higher frequency. And so you can also notice that perhaps you are drawn to junk food or even heavier food when your frequency drops. But instead of choosing junk food, yes, choose simply heavier food. Choose food that feels grounding, that feels like it brings you a sensation of dropping into your body. And when you want to feel light and connected and spacious, either don't eat or eat lighter foods. So the idea of supplements is important for most of you, and you will find over time which supplements play the roles they need to play at the times you need them.
And what about nuts and olive oil or good oils?
Oh yes, this is also part of it.
Thank you. I'm gonna see, I think there's one more question. What is the relationship of the North Star and the big, deeper constellation to the Earth in regards to the Earth's rotation axis? Which civilizations live in that area? Thank you. Maybe it's the Big Dipper, or not deeper. Big Dipper constellation.
No, it is called the Big Dipper.
Okay.
In English, yes. We would say that there is more life and connection to your world in the nearby Orion star formation. The Big Dipper is, in a way, more of a symbolic representation of your own shifts in consciousness. So you can notice that this constellation creates a spiraling formation. Through the different seasons, the angle that this constellation creates looks like the ancient symbol of a swastika. That is how this symbol was birthed, through the observation of this system. So what this constellation really represents to you is source consciousness and is the cycles of nature. As you observe the spinning, it is much like a spinning energy vortex within your body. So these stars help you both to recognize the North Star being that guiding light, directing you forward, and the rotation of this Big Dipper being the observation of the cycles of nature and the connection with the inner vortex spiraling within. There are civilizations connected to these stars. At this time, we cannot disclose more information about them.
Thank you. A question from Jessica.
Yes.
Could you please ask about the elves, like in fantasy, Tolkien's world? Are they guides for us as angels and fairies can be?
Yes. So understand that the creative act, as it uses your imagination, is also an intuitive act. And in their creative process, authors are creating a representation of your own collective unconscious. So in these stories, there are many mythologies and archetypes that you can come to use and understand and integrate. Such of these archetypes being the servant of humanity, the warrior, the king, the saboteur. There are so many different archetypes within these different stories, and understand that each of them is a living force within you that all of you may come to understand and express and integrate as a function of your psyche. Now, the idea of elves and fairies and so on and so forth, these are expressions of parallel reality experiences on your earth plane. Understand that your physical experience of earth is just one experience of it. There are non-physical experiences on your earth plane that are actually interwoven within the fabric of nature, so that trees, mushrooms, rocks, water features, and so on and so forth are also interdimensional expressions that are homes to such of these creatures. And as you attune yourself to use your imagination to experience multidimensional reality, you can actually see into these worlds and interact with these worlds. It begins with your observation of nature and feeling with all of your senses everything that nature creates and expresses and communicates with you, and then adding layers of intuition and imagination into it, where you can as well start to receive messages and subtle impulses from these other realms.
And she's asking also, what is their areas for helping mankind if they are our guides?
There is not just one area. They can help you understand all of life. They, first of all, are guiding humanity to understand the importance of nature and the interconnection of all things. In some cultures in your world, it is understood that if you build or affect areas of nature that are dear to the fairies, that it will have negative consequences on the human realm as well. So one way of having a deeper interaction with the fairies or the fae is to set that intention, create the space and ritual of opening to their world and letting their energy in, and giving them some kind of an offering. That would generally be something that is natural, like a plant a flower or a crystal or rock, and even food, understand that while they do not consume it, it is symbolic of an exchange of energy. You are also exchanging energy with them in the same way that they are exchanging energy with you. There are an infinite amount of species, you could say, of fairies, and many of them are shape shifters. They teach you as well that you are malleable and you can change shape in the same way that they do. You can change shape through reforming your identity time and time again. And every time that you change your beliefs and change your thoughts and change your frequency, you are literally an entirely new being. This is one of the primary lessons, though again, they have so many lessons and teachings that they offer you. And the kinds of fairies that you personally will interact with is simply a reflection of the unique lessons and understandings that you need to tap into in a particular moment.
Thank you very much.
Well, thanks to you as well.
So Kina, go for it.
Thank you so much. Hello, Dante. Hello, friends.
Hello. Yes.
I have actually 2 short questions.
All right.
I have heard about solar flash happening in June,
yes.
and helping humanity. I know it's a probability timeline. I want to know if it's very possible or if it's only a saying, if you can really go to this timeline, actually.
Solar flashes help humanity, yes. So understand that the sun is a conscious entity that you interact with every day. The sun unites all of the consciousness, both human and non-physical, in your particular solar system, and creates a connection to the grand central sun, or in other words, the supermassive black hole, around which all stars in this galaxy ultimately rotate. So the sun is transmitting to you great information and energy through its light that you perceive and pick up in various ways. And the sun, when it generates flares, is simply expanding that information to greater levels of intensity. It represents a moment in which particular downloads of information do come in and through into your system, as well at the same time, solar flares do generate an experience of release of past stuck holding patterns as the new information comes in. Negative belief systems and trauma responses often come to the surface to release through the human system.
Yes, I have heard.
So that process is helpful and challenging, though also the idea of solar flares also generate the phenomena you know as aurora borealis. And here these powerful colors and energies flowing into your world are generating as well of an image-based expression of the frequencies your world is integrating. And so that is why when you look to these photographs, they can represent to you the particular downloads of energy that your collective is facing in the moment. Is there a massive solar flare coming that will wipe out your planet technologically? Perhaps, but we cannot say when or how. It is a matter of your collective consensus. Do you collectively choose to have such an experience? If you do, it will change your world permanently, though the loss of technology, in a sense, will only be temporary. And understand as well that the experience of open contact is going to happen in your world within the next decade or two, and that will also change the way that you interact with technology vastly.
Okay, because I have heard the 2022, it's the last year of central sun alignments, and it will be the possibility of global ascension, because it was the last date, the last year of alignment will be possible. That's why I was asking it if it was possible to have this mass awakening in 2022.
It is possible.
Okay.
Though, is it likely? Not necessarily. Understand that you do not need a massive awakening in order to transform your own reality. What you will likely experience as a collective is many pockets of awakening versus many pockets of resistance. So to strengthen the possibility of open contact and personal enlightenment, our encouragement for you is to strengthen your bonds with communities of light in physical reality and as well online, if that serves you and works for you in these moments. Strengthen your bonds and expand into the feeling of togetherness that happens when you connect with other conscious people and individuals.
Okay, I understand. It's only about all its probability. It's only about which timeline we choose to go and to experience.
Yes, though
Okay.
Understand that your 2022 is that potential of a grand acceleration in consciousness. The master number of 222 will serve you through that time and allow you to, in a sense, master duality, as duality is the challenge that so many of you face in your world. So it is an opportunity for you to accept the dance between darkness and light and accept the polarization between conscious and unconscious individuals, and hold all that you see outside of you as a part of yourself, remembering the great principle of reflection. Your personal awakening accelerates more than anything else, or your personal awakening accelerates more rapidly than in any other way when you understand that all is one and that everything you experience from the other is a reflection of yourself in some way. When you can own that, you also end the pattern of victimization entirely. And the embodiment of a sort of indestructibility becomes your core essence. The end of victimization does not mean that you were not a victim in the past. It simply means that you have mastered and integrated and accepted all of those past experiences. And you understand now what that energy dynamic involves, and that you get it and master it so clearly that you see any signs of narcissistic, domineering, or toxic energies, and you don't allow them into your field. That means that you can still have unconditional love for these individuals at the appropriate distance. And actually, to be able to love the negative polarity is the only way to what you say term as ascend. You must love and embrace the negative polarity. You must love and embrace the pain polarity in order to actually get to the next level. Because when we talk of ascension, when you ascend, you always include the levels that are below what you are ascending into. Ascending is not dissociating, it is integrating everything. And so that is why actually we in the channel together are taking distance from that term ascension, because it generates in your consciousness a tendency to want to bypass, avoid, or go beyond something. Now we encourage you to understand that if you really intend to ascend, you must work to integrate, because it is integration, making whole, making complete, accepting all polarities, accepting all potentialities, that you actually become complete and unable to be influenced by negative influences. When you have accepted all negativity that is and has been and could be, it will not impact you on such a profound level. And then you can be the greatest force of positive change.
Okay.
So we understand that we have gone on a tangent from your original question, but we hope that you trust and understand the ways that it serves your collective.
Yes. I all it's necessary. I understand. Can I ask my second question quickly?
Yes.
Yes, I don't want to take too much time.
Well,
so,
the time that we are spending answering your question serves the collective, so do continue.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you to everything. It's joining the first question actually. I want to manifest a new house for escaping this area of insecurity where I am now. And I wanted you to check my chakra system to let me know which chakra I have to do meditation, but now I am thinking maybe I have to include and to accept this insecurity and this negativity to manifest the next time of zone of living for me.
Yes. If there is one chakra you must work on the most, we would say it's the solar plexus, but that is not all of the work. Understand that you must, as you are already understanding, accept the negative within you, accept your resistance, start to work with the negative emotions, and have higher degrees of self-compassion, self-forgiveness, and self-acceptance. Love yourself the way you would wish to be loved by another. Love yourself the way that you would envision an ascended master or holy being to have love for you. In that way, you become an embodiment of the ascended consciousness. So in doing that work, you allow yourself to be more open, more source-like. Now, in order to get out of this situation and this location, yes, you may want to also explore different ways of experiencing housing and community. You may want to actually join the idea of intentional communities or places where many individuals come together and co-create a specific type of living environment and situation that benefits all and creates a sense of holism, where everyone is an essential part of the whole thing, the whole community.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Yes.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you as well.
So there are questions in the YouTube chat. I just want to give a chance to you in the Zoom chat if you have a question first. Oh, Willy or Miguel.
Hello. Okay, so last 4 questions. So the first one is, How did the ancient Egyptians with their secrets cut the stones with such precision and accuracy? And how did they move thousands of tons of rock around so easily?
They had assistance. That is all we can say. Understand that at those times, your planet was still an interdimensional hub. There was still many different interactions taking place with other civilizations.
Okay. What are all the properties or common themes of the 13th chakra?
It depends what you are terming the 13th chakra to be, because many people in your world refer to different points or energy centers when they talk about a 13th chakra. We would describe this 13th chakra as the aura itself. So it is one layer of the aura that encompasses, you could say, the first complete 7 layers of the human energy field. The 13th chakra is then about holism. It is about completion. It is about uniting all of the parts of the whole. But that will be different from another person's understanding. And this is why numbering the chakras beyond the 7th chakra gets a little bit complex.
Yes, the 13th chakra I'm referring to, for context, is the one above the head.
There are many chakras above the head, so you have to still be more specific.
Okay, the first chakra above the head.
That's the 8th chakra, according to our understanding.
From my understanding, there are 13 chakras, starting from the base, and then the pelvis, and
Well,
then the
what we
navel.
would suggest to you is to not be so mechanistic with these things. Understand that the terminology and the definitions are often restricting. Understand that your own intuitive exploration and experience of such energy fields is key, and that you cannot actually experience enlightenment or holism through fixing the individual parts of the seemingly whole thing. Again, the formula itself is complete, and unraveling and undoing negative belief systems is the true process leading to direct experiences of awakening. So the chakra above the head, what we could say more about it is that is a blueprint level energy center. That is where information starts to translate into your physical body in a way that you can understand. So the chakra above the head, in this case, meaning the very first one, you could consider a karmic layer chakra. And it again allows information from the higher mind to then enter the crown chakra in a unique and specific way.
I'm not necessarily unfocused on the mechanisms. It's more about the balancing of all chakras. And so if one is off, I have to look at the opposite of that one off to balance it, almost like a seesaw.
Yes, that is a way of working with them, though understand that there are many other strategies that work as well. It is a complete and whole system, so the functioning of all of them is essential to your well-being. What we would suggest working with is a complete chakra balancing set. Whenever you are doing energy work with yourself, focus on every single chakra. Spend more time focusing on the chakra that is most out of balance. As the chakra that is most out of balance, and as you have said, its opposite, will hold the key to your healing and integration in the moment. When you focus on what is up in a particular moment, it will be much easier than to experience wholeness. understand that your reality will always show you exactly what you need to work on when you need to work on it.
When I go through my chakras, I always go through them all, because if I stop in the middle, that alone would already cause imbalance. I have to complete the cycle. So yes, I agree. Yes. Okay. 3 more questions, then we're done. I know I have so many questions. The next one is how to get rid of the ego.
You don't get rid of the ego.
Well, don't you get rid of it to then change it to a love consciousness?
No. The ego is your sense of identity and individuality. Thus, you need a healthy ego. What you instead work out are resistance patterns in the ego. Resistance patterns being strong attachments to particular identities and strong avoidance of other identities. A negative ego is an ego that rejects aspects of itself. And this happens when an individual sees oneself as better or more worthy or more special than others. It happens when the identity structure does not include components of itself and judges them, makes them wrong, and as a result starts to perceive those internalized negatives in other people and blames them. Also, the ego becomes problematic when the ego is fixated upon its own goodness and again cannot see its negativity. So a balanced ego is an identity structure that accepts and embraces all components of the self. And it is a necessary aspect of your being in order to survive and thrive. So no, you cannot get rid of the ego. You can only work out your unhealthy identification patterns and instead learn to identify with your whole self rather than with the components of yourself that you feel comfortable with, and reject components of yourself that you do not feel comfortable with.
Wow, thank you for that. That's a very different perspective from what I was learning from.
Yes.
Okay, so the last question is, this is more of a not so serious question. Where is the Count Germain?
Count Germain?
Yes, he calls himself the Count Germain.
Well, there is a Saint-Germain that was an ascended master that incarnated in many different expressions in your world that some individuals connect with as a guide. Where is this Saint-Germain? They are on, again, higher astral and spiritual planes and are available for your connection and interaction if you would wish to interact with them in the same way that you would use, again, your psychic capabilities to interact with beings like ourselves.
A question because I'm not sure if he's still around physically as that ascended being. Okay. All right. Well, then that'll be everything. And thank you for widening my perspective.
And our thanks to you for allowing your perspective and perception to expand.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, George. It's your time.
Thank you so much. I really am happy to meet with you again today. Hello.
Hello, yes, we as well are excited to connect.
I briefly just wanted to ask a question about the possibility of moving forward with a new living situation that presented itself due to a death in my close family this week, and any advice you may have around that, and also specifically as to the potential appropriateness of inviting the couple who were present at the hospital after my family member's death. Thank you.
Does this living situation feel exciting and comfortable to you?
Yes, and as I'm hearing you guide others today, I'm hearing resonances of encouragement to move into a more sustainable off-grid living, which this represents.
Yes. So the synchronicity of that might be a guiding light, and your invitation of others into the home or community is a way to step into that collaborative living cycle that is more naturally representative of how your species was meant to live and operate.
Thank you. Do you have any specific advice about how to move forward in a way that is as graceful as possible, please?
Are there aspects of you that are in resistance?
Yes, it's separate but contiguous with the community in which I was raised, and I do have great love for this place, and there are also many opportunities to work more deeply through all of the triggers that I still have.
So seeing it as that opportunity and strengthening your connection with support systems and strengthening your ability to work with modalities that you have learned, remembering that you are in a different time and space now and are literally a different version of yourself is helpful, so that when those triggers arise, you can practice that ability to observe and recognize the choices you have and the ways that you respond.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And ultimately, this is really about being able to be of service to others.
Yes.
But I'm concerned about, my mother is basically the one who is in charge right now.
Yes. So you must also then recognize that even though someone is an authority on some level, you are still an authority over yourself. So if this person behaves in ways that do not feel helpful for you, you can still disengage with their energy when that feels appropriate. There may be ways that you seek to protect your energy, recognizing that you can disconnect from others without disassociating from yourself. And oftentimes doing that is necessary to find appropriate inner balance. Practicing the idea of cord cutting and returning to your own essence again and again is helpful. And recognizing again that the connections that you would hope to be the ones that really serve you and growing into yourself are not always the ones that will do that, will allow you to source the love, connection, and support that you need from those who can really help you, even while you do engage with individuals who may not operate on the level that is appropriate and healthy for you.
Wow. I guess just one final aspect, if I may, is, may I ask one more question, please?
Yes, of course.
My intention is not, I don't really believe in ownership of land. I just believe in taking care of the land. And so my legal status there is not of consequence to me, but I just want to be careful that this is in alignment with my loved one who just passed away, who died. If this is, taking care of this land and the gardens is in accordance with their wishes.
Yes. Regardless of what the human might have believed and thought, the higher self of this individual wants the goodness and wellness of all, as the higher self of all beings do. So you can trust that higher self level whenever you are interacting with any passing spirit. Trust that at the level of higher self, our intentions and desires become more universal. And what is in the highest interest of all is in the highest interest of all living and departed.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for your guidance and your care. Much love to you all.
And we as well are grateful to your connection with us and sharing with us.
I'm going to read a question from the YouTube chat.
All right.
I am drawn to go to live in Bali with my teen son and would like to know if it will be safe enough with this increasing instability in people in Asia.
The place in question was Bali?
Yes. With her teenage son, or his.
If you acquire the necessary documentation and follow the necessary procedures, it will be a safe place to live. It will not be by any means what it once was over the next coming years. However, you can develop a sense of community, a sense of closeness, a sense of connection with nature there. There will be a moderate degree of restriction. However, that moderate degree of restriction is almost universal across the board. There are places that you may experience less restriction, though then comes the question, are the unique ways that this location meets your needs outweighing the ways that you could avoid restriction in other places that might not fill in every piece of the puzzle of what is personally exciting to you at this time? So ask yourself these questions as you proceed.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Mario Boyadjev. Hi, Pleiadian Council. According to Beinsa Duno, an ascended master, the name is Beinsa Duno.
All right.
So today, the 19th of August, is the Divine New Year. Could you expand on that? Thank you.
Well, what we will say, first of all, is that every day is the beginning of a new year. Every day is the beginning of a new birth. Every day begins a cycle. So understand that cycles are always beginning and ending. Today, look back at where you were at last August at this time, and every day you can do the same thing. Understand that for the Egyptians, the new year began in the end of July. For the Kabbalic mystics, the new year began in the end of September. For the Chinese, the new year begins in January or in February, and so on and so forth. So there is always a cycle beginning and ending. It is always, in that sense, the beginning of a new year. Even you could say the spring equinox is truly the beginning of a new year. Or you could say the shift of the numbers from one year to another that you experience from January and December is the beginning of a new year. Every moment is a new beginning. Every moment that you set an intention and that you begin a quest, you are beginning a cycle. Cycles are always beginning and ending and beginning again. That is what we will say about this. We don't have particular information as to this channeled message from that particular being about this specific date particularly.
Okay, thank you. Last question from the YouTube chat. Speaking of the sun, who or what is Ra? And what is Ra's relationship with the sun? And with mankind and the human consciousness about?
Ra is an entity that represents the collective consciousness of your world. And in mythology of the Egyptians, manifests as a certain archetype that you can connect with. Ra has also been channeled, again, as that collectivized concept of a universal overarching entity that is also extraterrestrial in its nature. Again, we would say generally, the works of other channels and our message do not always overlap. So we cannot say more about the channeled entity known as Ra. But we can say that the Ra you know as an archetype brought through the Egyptian mythologies is a representation of solar consciousness. So solar conscious being life-giving consciousness. You may consider it the universal masculine principle or the universal yang principle according to your own understanding. It is life-giving energy, and it connects all beings through the light of the sun that is shed upon your world, and the light of the sun that again brings interdimensional energy from all of the places to which the sun is connected on other levels. That is all we can say, really.
Thank you. So the time is 4 minutes before, 8 at my time. And
all right.
There was one last question from Kay, but I don't know if...
Yes, we can answer that question.
Okay. Go for it.
You mean me? You mean Kay later?
Yes, it's you.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, thank you. So I will try to do quickly. I actually have studied the law attraction. I have studied also the chakra mechanism. Each time you release by integrated something in a chakra, you shift reality.
Yes.
I saw we have many probability reality each second opening, but we only turn into one by choosing. And I wanted to know if we can manipulate it by choosing to release more the chakras, to do more healings in the chakras and getting up in a better reality.
Yes. And no. The answer here is yes and no. Because you can maneuver and manipulate the energies in your chakras. But again, sometimes the ways that you and others do this is putting an insistence on a particular outcome. And that blocks the formula and blocks the flow of life force energy. So again, if you are insisting that a particular blockage in your chakra changes because you want to manifest something with a clear energy system, then you sometimes short circuit the laws of the universe and short circuit your own field by placing too much emphasis to the degree that you start to insist and resist. So you must understand that actions are required in your world. And sometimes in order to heal a particular trauma, you have to get close enough to the thing that triggers your trauma response, meaning you have to go in the direction of the thing that causes you fear, pain, and resistance in order to process that fear, pain, and resistance. Instead, what we are hearing in your question, what we see so many of you do, is that you attempt to fix yourself and perfect yourself and align your energy in the most perfect way so that you can go about getting what you want in a different way. But really, the healing will only happen when you go for what you want and you encounter the inner obstacles and the inner trauma responses and the inner negative beliefs that are in the way of becoming a fully integrated being. So the process of cleaning and purging out old negative energies will require that you bring those things up first. And the best way to bring those things up is by confronting triggers directly. Now you must understand the difference between a positive trigger and a negative trigger. If cops are your trigger, it is not helpful for you to go and hang out in front of the police station hoping that eventually you will stop being triggered. However, in the instance that you are encountering a robbery or something negative occurring and you need support, and the support would come from a cop, then that would be a moment that you have to confront the trigger to bring in that particular energy and work with it. There are many other examples of this nature. So the key thing here is that when forcing yourself to be immersed in triggers, that you are generally fully excited about the potential exploration and outcomes. If there is no excitement, there is no point in bringing yourself in contact with the trigger. So the triggers that are really problematic and in the way are triggers that are surrounding things that are genuinely exciting for you. So the best way to get through and touch your excitement is to experience the shock of the trigger and use the tools that we have shared and you have learned from your other personal development experiences in order to process and integrate that trigger.
Yes, thank you. I understand very much. Many years I was trying to manipulate and to use. Now I understand I was always trying to escape. I always use this technique to try to escape and actually I escaped the lesson and I never succeed to maneuver very well because I was not doing it right. I was not understanding. Thank you so much.
Yes, our great thanks and loves to you as well. We will close with a final meditation for 1 or 2 of your minutes. Bringing yourself into your heart, breathing deep into your heart, imagining a brilliant light that gets brighter and brighter with your breath in. And as you exhale, that light expands throughout your body, moving to different parts. Inhale again, allow the light to get brighter. And as you exhale, continue to expand the light outside and beyond your body. Continue breathing in this way, allowing the light and the intensity of the light to increase on the inhale and allowing the aura and the expansiveness of the light to move and expand outwards on the exhale. Picture above your head a brilliant blue star you may know as Alcyon. The star millions of light years away. Imagine that light pouring down as a clear and perfect beam through your crown chakra and into your body, expanding through the light of your heart. Meditating on the frequency of this light blue color and allowing it to move through your cells, anchoring you and connecting you to our frequency. You can use this frequency in this light blue color whenever you wish, remembering our world, remembering that all is one and we are always connected to you. Bring this light into your being and let it radiate out through you. To return to this place of peace and inner standing of self that you gain access to through the reflections that we share. And know that you yourself are capable of, as well, being a channel for us. Allow this light to be that guiding principle for you in your own unique way, to be a bridge between our world and the world of your own personal guides and your physical reality, as that spiritual dimension of understanding is one of the great aspects to transformation necessary in your world at this time. Our thanks and love to all of you and each of you individually for co-creating this interaction. We look forward to our continued interactions happening, perhaps with more frequency now in these new chapters of your times. All right. Hi, everyone.
Wow. Wow. That was so good.
Really grateful.
Me too.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks everyone for hopping on and making this possible. It has been a little while, but I think it's better than ever before.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
It was great. Thank you very much.
Quite cool, man. Awesomeness,
Hey,
honestly.
Josh,
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How's the new place?
You were here because we didn't hear from you.
Hello from Paris.
Hi.
Hey, Pleiadian. Hey. George.
Yeah, so good to have that sense of community alive. I missed everyone. I just was, I don't know, like if I'm not well, I don't want to bring through any transmissions because that mental chaos is going to affect it. And also there's that, and there's also not feeling like it sometimes, and those are valid. So remember that when we're of service, it has to come from that genuine place in the heart. And it's not that I didn't want to help, I just wasn't really there.
Yeah, full
but look where I'm at now.
Oh, wow.
I literally live in a mansion right now. I don't know how long I'll be here for, but hopefully it'll be a while. I don't know like how these like hippies manifested this like giant house to live in. But that's what's happening. Oh yeah, and everyone, donations are greatly accepted. I didn't even post it here, but I'm sure that many of you already have that link. PayPal, dante.filippini@gmail.com and whatever. You can send that or just book a session with me. It will be amazing, I'm sure. Anyone have anything they want to share about this transmission? Or their experience of it, or their own downloads in general?
Facing the trigger, that's one that's been like just hitting the spot.
Yeah, facing the trigger. For real, it's intense. Been doing a lot of that. Immersion therapy even. Immersed in that trigger. Just fully jumping on it again and again. But there's a, there's a need for breaks as well.
It eventually breaks down, which is cool, but it's like, man, such intensity.
Yeah, for real.
Dante, would you like to attract more people to these chats or to the live transmissions? Because if yes,
absolutely.
Because
I'm like, I want to start working on that as well. Before I used to post all of this to Facebook groups. So I would just share the video and like the post about it with the specific information that's shared, and that usually works pretty well. But Facebook kind of cracked down on it and like, you know, started banning me when I would share to too many groups. So once there's like more information about this video and it's up on YouTube, if people want to share it to Facebook groups or share it out with their audience, that's helpful. But if you were saying that as you have specific ideas of how to reach more people, Joaquin, please tell me.
Yes, one would be that you create certain events on Facebook, for example, once a week. If you create events, people know in advance that you are going live, and then they can plan accordingly. Yeah. Or the other option, or a second option, would be to do the same on YouTube. You can pre-go live or so. I don't know how it's called. So you can announce an event for a certain date, and then you go live on a certain date on YouTube.
Right. I think I need to, I don't know if that's possible on YouTube, but what I do is put the posts on the community page and the email list every week. But I can look at that as well. And the event page on Facebook, that would probably be a good thing. I used to do that as well. Yeah, right. But I'm still kind of like, I don't know. I probably need to upgrade my technology. I was going to buy like a really fancy computer, and then I saw like they suggest to wait because they're gonna like release a better version of the computer in a month or two.
Yeah, but they will release every 6 months to 12 months. You get a newer model, so you sometimes you need to.
If I'm going to invest crazily into like a really good computer, I should probably wait till the latest model. No,
depends. So what would you like to do with your new computer?
Like edit videos, like, you know, we can make, if I make other videos for YouTube, I can just kind of make like a good intro and splice them well. And I don't know, like, and then it'll have a very like, it supposedly has like a 1080 pixel like front camera. So I can just use the computer's webcam instead of like holding up this little phone and stuff.
Okay, so you're working on the phone. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the phone right now.
Oh yeah, okay. Because usually if you want to cut videos, I think it would be better to get a desktop computer with a real with a good graphic card.
I was gonna get a MacBook Pro.
Oh, okay, that's even also working. And you could also get an external graphic card, which has more memory to process those videos.
Cool, very cool.
I have to leave. Thank you so much for tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for hosting. Really appreciate the smooth way that you allow the transitions